Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I am your host, Mike Veerman. I am here in person for the first time in 5 months with our friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman, as well as our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham, and Erica is working the dials from a safe distance. All of us. Guys, this is the first time we've all been together, the four of us, in over 5 months.
Yeah, everyone's looking good. Hair flow is really strong on this podcast.
Any haircuts here?
Shane and I can tell you haven't had a haircut.
No.
I certainly have not had a haircut.
I've
Max,
had some
you're looking pretty fresh.
trims. I just had a shower, but I've had a couple little trims. Actually, I went to our barber right around the corner when I had to kind of get the sides taken care of.
Well, you were getting trolled online, so I guess you had to.
What do you mean?
A guy you were posting in Arkells, someone said whoever the lead singer of
Oh, yeah.
Arkells is needs a fucking trim.
Or he's like, or don't make up your mind. That's what he said.
Oh, he thought you were somewhere. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know
We're
if
the
you guys-
heart of Hamilton right now.
But
baby.
then he apologized because you called him out,
Yeah.
publicly shamed him.
Yeah.
You even though you blanked out his name, I guess somehow his friends alerted him.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he issued a public apology.
Public apology. It was very nice. I think
All trolls are nice once you call them out.
that's true. Once they're acknowledged, they go, oh, yeah, these people have feelings, and there's another human being on the other end of this insult, and sorry.
Yeah, that's the key to trolling. It's just, I want him to know I exist?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, he acknowledged me. That's
Yeah.
it.
Erica, have you had a haircut?
No cuts.
Just rocking it since the start.
Yep. Split ends and
It's
all.
easier for a woman, though, to go no cut. Not to be sexist, but women tend to have longer hair.
Yeah, you're probably right. And like it's probably a little less noticeable. At least women who keep their hair long.
Yeah.
Guys, is this weird? Like, it's like so for our listeners, you might be listening. We are filming this. We'll put clips up online, I'm sure. But like, we're in Max's backyard in Hamilton. We're all in Hamilton now. All three of us are living here. Erica, you drove in from out of town. Thanks for making the trip. It's good to see you in person. I
course.
didn't know if you were going to make it, so this is exciting.
Yep.
We're all
When you
here.
live at home with your parents, you got nothing to do.
You'll take any excuse.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, you're back home in Waterloo, and I knew you'd come down. Because
Yeah.
a
Having
lot
a
of
rager tonight?
Yeah.
Am I what?
Having a rager now that you're in the big city.
Oh no, I drove. I have to go back.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Anyone
That
you
is
could party
dedication.
with in Hamilton, though? You're like, maybe tonight's the night. Give me a drink, Max. Is that the kind of vibe?
I mean, I could throw out a few texts, few feelers.
Mike Veerman's right here.
The only one drinking right now.
I am having a beer. Well, when we were putting this in the group, it's
I
like
know.
Max is like, we'll do it in my backyard. It's the first time back. I'm like, ooh, we're going to have a few beers. Like, this feels like a cause for celebration.
Yeah.
So, I just live not too far down
Yeah.
the street from you here, Max. So I had some beers in the fridge. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be nice. I get here and nobody's...
Here's the problem is I just got back from camping. I was in Long Point for the last 2 nights, and I just had a shower, and all we did was sort of drink beer and eat garbage. So I've just had some green juice and a bubbly water, and that's all I can
Wait,
really
you were
handle
with
right now.
J.R. Diggs and he didn't post you incessantly?
No. We went. I was with the Benthams, and we went to like the provincial park in Long Point, and we didn't mention to Diggs that we were going down there.
You're a dead man.
Well, then, so we go into town, into Port Rowan. We park the car. We get out of the car. Who's literally the first person we see is Diggs walking. He walks out of his store. He's like, buddy. And then, of course, that led to like Diggs and I having like an hour-long conversation like under a tree in the shade while Lauren was like, okay, I'm going to go to the pharmacy and fuck off. And can you just like finish this up and I get back to my family? And I was like, okay. Though it was one of the highlights of the trip is seeing Diggs.
That's
on the
good.
main drag.
And who's the other guy up there? There's another Hamilton guy up there with him.
Was Dylan out there?
Yeah, Dylan
Dylan
Hideki.
Hideki.
Yeah, Dylan. Yeah, I mean, I think what Diggs does is he just gets his Hamilton friends to come down, hang at the point. The long
Well,
point.
this is the thing. So our friend Jared Diggs, we talked about on this podcast before. He has like a couple cottages up at
Yeah.
Long Point. He rents them out.
Yeah.
You have both been there. My brother's been there.
Yeah.
I consider Diggs a friend. I've never gotten the
You
invite.
just gotta give him a little nudge. Honestly, that's all it takes. But also, it's a hot commodity now. I think when he first bought the property a couple of years ago, he needs to get the word out. So we were sort of, spokespeople.
True.
But now that it's kind of rented out all summer long. He's on to his next venture, so you just gotta nudge him.
Did
then.
he charge you when you went up there?
This year? No, but we went up just
You had to
as.
play a few songs.
Yeah, we did play a couple songs. I did. And
Did he pay you to go up there?
He didn't. No. Actually, it was funny. There was because I went up with Lauren, but your brother Greg
Yeah.
and his gal Laura, and I think I might have mentioned this in the pod. There was just
Whoa.
So an umbrella just fell over. We'll post it online.
The winder, right? It's got a winder, the crank, yeah.
This is how like unhelpful I am.
Oh, it's stuck on that.
I'll
Be
take
careful, it might tear there. Is it the other way? I think it's... Oh, it's caught there.
This speaks to how.
Max
I
is
hope
trying
all-
to talk and he's in the umbrella.
He did.
Some people are in the bubble. Max is in the umbrella.
Did did you pay someone to set that up originally, and that's the first time you've ever had to touch it?
I think I put it up myself, to be honest.
Right.
But it really speaks to how helpful I was camping in the last couple of days, because like I didn't even bother to attempt to like put a patio umbrella down. Like I was like, I probably couldn't figure that out. I'll let Erica deal with it, and I did. But I figured it out. But like,
Great job.
I'm like the handyman out of all of us right now. It's a very weird. feeling.
you are the handyman,
and I'm the least handy person.
Erica might be the handiest person though in the whole gang here. Are you annoyed in the sun there? Do you want to move over?
I'm okay. It'll pass.
Are you
Do
sure?
you think
Yeah,
you're
it's
handier
just
than
a-
me, Erica?
I just mowed a lawn. So.
Okay, I mow my lawn.
Okay.
I found
Okay.
I've become handy over the course of the pandemic.
Mm.
Like once we moved back to the house in Hamilton, I actually had to do things, and like I'm not really handy. I would be like anyone that's actually handy would put me to shame, but I actually feel far more like I can do a couple things than I ever did before. Do you feel like you've actually crossed over into a handyman, Shane?
No, I'm terrible. But what I am is a willing participant. And when you're a willing participant, you can trick people into thinking you're handy. For instance, when we were moving the table, like Mike was kind of on the phone. He could have grabbed it with his one hand though and carried it. It's a very light table. Max was kind of pretending he was like doing something.
Yeah, I really didn't want to.
And then
feel that from
Erica,
me.
and then it was just Erica and I left to our own.
Yeah.
But that I find willingness can up your game a lot. And I was just at a cottage for 2 weeks with my in-laws. So there's a lot of little tasks at a cottage, and I was all over everything. Like, anyone need anything? Does that need to be moved? Do you want me to do this? And I really felt useful and handy.
So I on that note, on the way home from the cottage, I asked Lauren. I was like, Lauren, does your family kind of wear kid gloves with me when it comes to this camping stuff? Like, do you think, or was I kind of like in the mix with everybody doing stuff? Like, Max, you didn't stand up once to try to like help with the fire or to go or help with the food. You literally like sat there and then you went for walks by yourself.
Okay, but if you weren't, let's say you had the same skills, same handiness level, but you weren't considered like a Canadian superstar, would you help out more because you'd be like, I'm a loser otherwise?
You know what's funny? I actually had that thought today. I was like, if I had a normal job, would I have to try a little bit harder in other stuff, like in these kinds of like, situations? And I think I would have to try harder.
Yeah.
But now because it's like, oh, Max, he's a city kid. He's just a city kid and he's a musician. Camping's not really his thing, but I'm really happy he's here.
Yeah, and you serve a purpose in society,
Yeah.
kind of. Like,
And nobody's having that conversation, but in your mind, you think they are, which justifies it.
Yeah.
It's going, why isn't he helping?
Well, what's funny?
He's
but
on another walk.
The one thing I could have done that would have been helpful is that Luke, Lauren's brother, brought a little guitar with him, and Luke's a great guitarist. Obviously, he's a singer in Dirty Nell, and I got the guitar up. And the thing is, though, I don't actually know any songs. I just sort of like know a few chords to certain songs, and then just kind of hum to myself. So it drives Lauren nuts all the time because she's like, either sing the fucking song or put the guitar down. Don't just hum to yourself the whole time. I'm like, I'm really enjoying myself. She's like, well, no one else appreciates it. I'm like, okay.
But you had a good time.
Yeah, for camping is fine.
Oh my god! Also, this is in one of our groups. Like, you posted like the day before you left. Does anyone have a blow up inflatable
Yeah.
mattress? This is like a classic camping trope for you. That
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the day before you're trying to get together all this
Yeah, it
shit.
was like hours before we left. Jug came through. Actually, though, I failed to blow it up correctly. So we got in the tent the first night, and it just kind of sunk.
Slowly deflated.
don't
And
you
then
just put air in it? Like, how do you fail to do that correctly?
But it's like, there's some apparatus you're supposed to like, push with your foot, and I don't
Sounds
know.
impossible to figure out.
Yeah. It was impossible. No one's done it. No one's ever done it yet. So, but originally this camping trip was supposed to be to Algonquin Park. It was supposed to be like a 3-nighter, not just a 2-nighter, and it was a portage
Oof.
like in the wilderness. But thank God, Lauren's sister Maddie, who was going to be our trip leader, got appendicitis. And she had to have emergency surgery.
Wow.
And then she went back to her home in Germany. And I got out of the trip.
Man,
Some people have all the luck.
Just kidding. Maddie's much better. Oh, I'm not kidding, but Maddie is feeling
She's
much
well?
better. Yeah, she's fine.
I guess it wouldn't work if she was terribly sick right
Yeah,
now.
she-
Yeah. She's like,
He's like,
she
I don't really
died.
know. All I know is I don't have to portage.
I don't know.
So in the time as things have like loosened up, we've talked about it on the pod. We've done since I moved back to Hamilton, some backyard hangs. So I've been in backyards with you, Max,
Yeah.
with a couple of the gang. I have not seen Shane. We sit beside each other. We literally saw each other. I spent
No.
more time with you than I spent with my Danica or Winona or anybody in
Yeah,
my
my
life.
entire life I've spent the most time with you.
Yeah. and we've just all of a sudden, like nothing, haven't been around each other for more than 5 months. It's weird to be disconnected that way. My question was going to be though, have you done any hanging out with anyone other than your family?
No. And
Is this your first time outside of that circle?
yes. And I feel like I have COVID. like just walking into someone else's house, I'm like, I've got COVID. Like I just have that paranoid.
That we gave it to you or that you gave it to us? No, we gave it to you.
That you gave it to me. Yeah, you like when I walked in the door, like I didn't know how to act. Like you came up to me and you came up quite like not aggressive but friendly. When and in these COVID times, that seems aggressive.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Hi, Max," and then you're like approaching. I'm like, "Too close, too close."
Well, then I started to kiss you. And,
yeah, it was too much tongue, and but just everything feels so COVID-y when you're out of your own personal bubble.
That's interesting because if you're in a routine of going to see people a little more regularly, you kind of like, you look at the numbers every day. Only 60 people got it in Ontario, and 14 million people. You're like, what are the chances? So I'm the opposite of you because I've been a lot more social. I mean, I guess I haven't been hanging inside with people really that much, but
I feel like you also don't like to succumb to fear at all. Like you're like, fuck it.
yeah.
Like I had my mask and I was like, do I need to wear this inside? And you kind of laughed it off. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
It was weird when you aggressively ripped it off his face and said, "Don't be a bitch." that was that was a weird move, Max.
That was like Trump 2020.
You put him in the headlock. No, Shane, what you're feeling right now is super familiar to me because when I think the first backyard I went into was like a month and a half. I don't know when it was, but when you first kind of cross. No, the first one was at our friend Brody's. It was like Sean, Brody, Julian, Felix, and because he lives around the corner from me. Like, hey, we're hanging out in the backyard. I'm like, I haven't done this yet. And Danica and I had been like super like the way that you guys are living, insular. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And I had like my beers in a backpack, and like guys were going in and like using the bathroom, and I was like, they're crazy. I'm like, I'm not going inside somebody, and I didn't. And I didn't go into somebody's house until maybe like
Pants are just drenched with urine.
Oh yeah, well you just got to go for it. I wore a diaper, please.
Those guys are crazy.
Until like 2 weeks ago at our friend Jugs, because people were there was like some pool swimming, and I was like, okay, I'll use the bathroom here, and that was like the first time. But then once you do it, to Max's point, it's like you want to be super responsible. We're keeping like our bubble in a sort of a spot that we feel very comfortable with, and then sort of like hanging with your friends. You still do it outside. We haven't done an inside hang really, like that I can think of,
Yeah.
And then to Max's point, what he said about the numbers is you're like, okay, it's like when the numbers are this low, especially in Hamilton, it's like if you're distancing, decently, and you're outdoors and you're doing your stuff, the odds of one of your friends having it being asymptomatic and all this confluence of things that has to come together, you go, man, I really would have just like, it's like winning the shittiest lottery. And so then, and maybe that's just a weird placebo that you tell yourself so that you can hang out with other people, which I think is important for our own mental health too. But it's like, once I told myself that, I sort of like, I did find a certain amount of relaxing, but I still can't go inside anywhere without a mask without feeling like very uncomfortable.
Well, I guess my fear is it all started with one person, and 1 to 100,000 people getting it isn't that unrapid. Like it happens fast. So if like 60 people have it, it seems like only 60, but that can double and double and double.
But the thing which makes me feel good is that at least Canadians, for the most part, are playing by the rules and are abiding by like the public health guidelines. So it's like the reason why it hasn't spread in the way it has in America is because everybody who goes inside is wearing a mask the whole time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it seems to make a large difference.
We're breaking these chains of connection. So like if people are sticking to like 10 people in a backyard, decently distanced, it's like, say one of those people does have it, they don't give it to all the other 9 in theory.
My only problem is I just don't know what everyone else is doing.
100%. Absolutely. No, and that's and some people are working different jobs that require face-to-face stuff, you know what I mean? And
it's like, oh, it's only one person, but that one person could have been in contact with hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And then that's lots
Well,
of
you saw the news today. Brass Rail.
Yeah.
500 people were exposed to this one dancer.
Well, when I said I'd only been out once, that was a bit of a lie.
So for our listeners, if you don't know, the Brass Rail is a very popular gentleman's club in Toronto, Ontario. And news broke today that I don't know if it was a dancer.
I think it was a dancer.
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe it was a bartender. But somebody who, because the shifts were very clear. Like the person was there from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. It was just like very much like I work at this bar. So either, I guess it could be a bouncer. We don't know.
An employee at the Brass Rail tested positive for COVID, and I guess they were exposed to as many as 500 people. So like this news came out today when everybody's been kind of talking about the numbers and how it's all been good. Like that's an example of one person who might end up being a super spreader.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I was on the drive down here. Is it Rob Ford or Doug Ford?
Doug.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Doug was like, oh, I just feel bad for the guy who said he was just going out. Now he has to tell his wife where he actually was.
That's what Doug
Is that what
said.
Doug said?
And then the reporter laughs and he goes, I'm serious. But it was an amazing soundbite.
You know what? Doug's been so funny. Like the quote he had, I think earlier today or yesterday, was he was like gonna tell the bylaw officers to cool it with the drinking in public tickets. He was like, I just told him, of course, if they're getting a little unruly, give them a ticket. But if they're just having a couple beers in the park, just cool it. I was like, enjoy the fact that our premier talks like that.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I wouldn't enjoy it if he was like cutting funding for stuff that was important or just being ignorant in other ways. That would annoy me. But if he's generally been doing the right thing through this whole experience and he talks like that, I'm like, yeah, that's good. Man of the people vibes.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very Matthew McConaughey-esque.
He looks just like him.
It's like looking in a mirror, man. Yeah, I just wanted to, that you can cut this, but how do you get a lap dance and be socially distanced at a strip club? Is that possible?
I mean, it's a good question. Like,
Are they
what are
allowed
the
to do
rules?
them?
What are the lap dancing rules right now during COVID? Like, it's one thing for the Gentlemen's Club to be open, but it's another thing to allow that close. You know what I mean?
Like, is the stage just covered in plexiglass and men are just pressing their face against it?
Maybe.
Or masks. Like they might all have to wear masks if they're.
I can't imagine that part of like whatever I can't imagine a part of the reopening is allowing lap dances in strip clubs. So they must just be breaking the rules. Which would that shock anyone? Like,
The other about 3 weeks ago, I was in Toronto. I was going for one of my walks, and the Nut was at his Toronto condo, and I went up to go visit him, and I was like, oh, let's go for a walk, or whatever. I got a couple coffees. It was like 9:30 a.m. and I and his door's always open, so I walked right into his condo. And this guy was standing there, and it wasn't his condo. I'm like, I'm sorry, I walked into the wrong condo.
oh my God,
Yeah,
Max.
and I'm sure COVID times people are like kind of freaked out or whatever. And I'm like, sorry. And I was wearing the mask at the time. What?
Even more frightening.
Well, it's just always scary when somebody walks into your apartment.
Yeah, and the guy was standing in the hallway, in his hallway, putting on shoes, to go out as well. So it was just I was kind of face to face with him,
Oh, geez.
So anyway, last weekend, my old childhood friend David Lawrence was getting. Well, this was supposed to be his bachelor party because he was supposed to be getting married at the beginning of July, but of course the wedding got canceled. They ended up doing a private little ceremony, and so the bachelor party happened after the wedding. So it was sort of like a get together of all of his friends. But I don't know a lot of his friends. David's a childhood friend, and he went to Western. He's now a doctor. He's actually the Toronto Blue Jays team doctor.
Oh, wow.
Did I ever tell you this? Anyway, so I was playing this game that I always play with anybody who I meet. I'm like, oh, where do you live? What do you do? And I always try to make some kind of connection with oh, you're from that town. Oh, my cousin's from that town. Or oh, you're from West Mountain.
Sounds fun.
No, but it's good. It's when you're meeting someone.
Is this what you did for the guy that you walked into the apartment
Yeah,
on?
I'm lost a little bit. Is this him?
Well, I'm getting there. So basically, I meet a guy, and he's like, oh, I live at King and Bathurst. I'm like, oh, my friend lives in King and Bathurst. Where are you? Which condo are you in? He's like, I'm in the Thompson. I was like, oh, my friend's in the Thompson. What floor are you on? And my buddy's like, he's on the penthouse floor. I was like, the Nut's on the penthouse floor. What number are you? I walked into this guy's apartment.
Whoa!
So
It was him who you.
Yeah,
came
so I was
face-to-face
like, I was the guy who walked into your condo 2 weeks ago. He's like, you're the fucking guy.
Oh, my God.
What are the chances?
with? Yeah, that's kind of
very
crazy.
weird.
Yeah. Anyway, I've had a lifetime of asking those kinds of questions, and usually it's like, oh, my cousin, or Mike Bierman who lived on the West Mountain, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that is a
Freaky.
freaky one.
Wow.
Anyway, he loved it. He was yeah.
Huh.
We'll have to,
So, again, is it legal to have a lap dance right now in Ontario?
sorry, I just wanted to tell that story. But I'm going to say no. I don't think it is.
It's probably some funky business going on, and, that's what's happened.
Hey, did you see that Andrew Lloyd Webber? He got
It's part of the vaccine trial.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild because he's no spring chicken.
Yeah, but he said, do you know who Andrew Lloyd Webber is?
No.
He wears a Technicolor dream coat.
First one. He wore one to the vaccine trial, actually.
Do you want a hat or something?
I'm gonna put my sunglasses on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Erica's sitting right in the sun.
I
Let's-
thought the
let's
sun was
order
gonna
out.
go behind the building that way, but it's
Here.
actually deciding to set to the right.
Here, move.
Sun's moving weird tonight. Yeah.
It's moving weird.
Yeah, he's like a sort of a super synonymous with the theater, like Shane said. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor.
Did you do
Dreamcoat.
Phantom of the Opera?
I believe that is an Andrew Lloyd Webber.
So yeah, he's like an iconic music theater writer.
Again,
Writer.
you know, he's a legend, not only in sort of by his work, but also by his age, his longevity. So the fact that he signed up for this vaccine trial, which
Right.
could be very risky,
Yeah.
unless they gave him the placebo, if you know how the vaccine trials work. And he posted, I guess, on social media today saying, "I want theater to come back like so much. I'm doing this for the actors.
I
I'm doing
would
this for the
do
writers.
anything to bring theater back.
I do
Wow.
anything."
And that kind of reframed the way I thought about being a guinea pig in that. I was like, because I want live music to come back. That would make me more inclined to do it.
Wow. So you were inspired by
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Lloyd Webber that you would join like a vaccine trial because of how much you want to play live again.
Yeah, maybe. It spurned the idea in my head.
Or maybe you just go for a walk because you're a city kid. And sometimes,
but it's a good question. Like, what would you guys? Would there be any story like that you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this for my kid or something like that. I don't know.
it's a good.
Yeah.
When they started talking about the vaccine trials and you hear like, oh, they're going to, go with 1,200 people or 3,000 people volunteered, whether it's in the UK or Canada or the US, I was like, of course you have the thought, would I do this? Like, am I altruistic enough? Am I somebody that's like, I want to do this because like I want to help out and I'm relatively young and relatively healthy and I am the sort of person that would fall into the category of like, yeah, let's give it a go. And I don't know. I think I'd be too concerned or scared about like the viability of it, like how sick you're going to get. Like, I don't know. And it's like, I think that Shane and I obviously have kids. I think that changes your risk level for those sorts of things. But maybe that's a cop out. Like my thing is, it's like, I wouldn't want to get sick because, Wynn needs me and all of those sort of like things. I think I'd be more inclined to if like you caught me when I was 25 and single and living alone and someone was like, would you want to do a vaccine trial? I'd be like, yeah, sign me up. Let's try it.
But then you have your whole life ahead of you, right? And it's like if you die at 25, that's such a tragedy.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer. Like the truth is, I won't know until someone stands in front of you and goes, are you willing to do this? And,
I'd be way more likely to do it if I was 80. Because it's like, I got nothing going on. I haven't done anything cool in like 15 years. And then I make the paper and it's like, oh, Shane Cunningham does this. It's like, oh, I'm relevant again.
you're really discrediting Andrew Lloyd Webber right now. We're taking a shot at him
Yeah.
personally. Yeah.
No, but don't you think it's like if you're 80, you've lived a long life? It's like, what do I got to lose?
Yeah.
Like if you die because you did the vaccine, your whole like legend would be like how stupid of a move that would be.
Oh, that's
an interesting
true.
way to think about
It wouldn't be like he was a hero kind of vibe.
Yeah, like died in the name of science.
Yeah.
No, you'd be like a Jay Leno joke or something, or who's ever doing the opening monologues now.
He also died apparently in
The pop culture
2002.
aficionado is back at it.
I don't know, Fallon, is he still doing it? I don't have cable, man.
It is interesting. It does make me think about like the idea of like whatever is like it seems like the right thing to do or to be a hero, but if it doesn't work out, like it's almost like the people that are like, what do they say? The meek will inherit the earth. It's almost the better play to be a coward. And not that doing a vaccine trial makes you a hero or not doing one makes you a coward, but it's just like history seemed to show us that like standing on the sidelines, although is not glorified, gets you to the next level. And then you go from there and go from there. It's like survivors kind of get the spoils.
Yeah. The only time it doesn't work is like in war. I mean, I guess it does kind of work.
This
in
is what I'm
war.
trying to say. Like if you really think about it, it's like Trump dodged the draft because of the bone spurs and now he's the president and everyone makes jokes, but the jokes are doing nothing. Like it's like he still wins. So by the way, like these are questions you have to ask yourself. Who am I? What matters to me? What is my integrity about? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just saying that more and more as I go through life and I watch the way that people operate, I'm more fascinated by like, if you don't have a sense of shame, then you'll just keep it moving. And like, you know what I mean? Like what has it like, John McCain went to, he was a Vietnam prisoner of war and, he suffered. And it's like Trump avoided, serving. And it's like, where do they both end up? It's just like, I know one isn't like commendable, but it's like what is the outcome? You know, does the end justify the means?
But if McCain wasn't a POW, maybe he wouldn't have ended up where he was. You know,
True.
because Trump had the whole famous name and everything.
And yeah, exactly, like a different path and all that. Yeah, but anyway, like I'm just always interested by like outcome. I don't think it really influences the way that I do things, because like I certainly have like at times spoken up where I'm like, you probably shouldn't have said that. That like was more detrimental to you than if you just kept your mouth shut.
Yeah.
We all are who we are, and you really can't. You're a big proponent of this, Shane. Like you can't change who you are. You're gonna do what you're gonna do. But I'm always like, there's no real consequences for the people that just sort of like coward, like sneak out.
The way I justify it to myself is that I think for every domain, every kind of job, there is a segment of the population that wants to do it. So I also include, so it's like there's some people that want to be performers or scientists or whatever it is. And there's some segment of the population that just like was like, yeah, sign me up for that vaccine trial. And I don't think any of us fall in that, but I do think there are a bunch of people, we maybe don't know them, but at least in the province of Ontario with 14 million people, I bet you that there's like 50,000 people that have a personality type that goes, oh, I'd fucking love to do that. That turns me on.
You're like, everyone has their role.
Everybody has, yeah, exactly. And so it just becomes interesting, I guess, in wartime when it's like when nobody fucking wants to go. And we're like, all right, guys, we're drafting people. Sorry, we got to do it. But I think in most cases you can find like enough people to be like, oh yeah, we got a bunch of volunteers for this thing. We're good.
Yeah.
Now that's the way I optimistically think about it.
Yeah.
Do you think that so like you said, like some people want to like get on a stage and perform, some people want to help the better good by being a doctor, or some people want to make a lot of money by being a doctor, or you know, it's like everyone has their own motivations for doing things. Do you think now more than in the past more people want to be famous?
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting thing to me.
Yeah, because I think the access to fame is new, and there's more like viable routes where you're like, you guys can speak to this. This is like before you'd have to like, okay, if I want to like get a television show, that's catered to moms and families and stuff like that. There's only there's a few gatekeepers, but now you can go, okay, I can actually do this and get a sponsor here, and I can make money here, and I can build an audience this way.
But the irony is it was easier before to become famous. Now it's way harder because everybody's
Saturated.
like my mom's more famous on Facebook than me.
What do you
Like
mean?
she's like, here's this, and she'll get like 400 thumbs up and 82 comments.
Really?
Yeah, and like
She's an influencer on Facebook now?
no, it's just old people like shit very easily, and they're like, like it's very weird.
Not a coveted advertiser demographic, though, I will say.
Who old people?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I saw a funny tweet where Mark Cuban somebody tweeted something about the NBA, and the NBA obviously is very heavy into social justice. And somebody on the right had tweeted, Tucker Carlson and Fox News are kicking the NBA's ass. Like, look at their overall numbers compared to what the NBA like Friday night ESPN game did. Mark Cuban's like, yeah, but in the coveted like 19 to like 40 demographic, the NBA did something like 2 million more. It's like, so yeah, Fox News got more ratings, but it's literally all backloaded. So it's like everybody from like 60 to 90.
But it depends
watched.
what you're selling, right?
Agreed.
Like Werther's depends, like vaccine trials.
But it's also about like I guess like income, meaning like disposable income. And I don't know if older people have more on a
Their
retirement
mortgages
budget.
are usually paid off.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true. But yeah, so to the question about like more people wanting to be famous, it is to Shane's point. It's harder,
It's
right?
impossible to be famous now. Like you can kind of like have a little side hustle going on much easier and get maybe 10,000 followers. But to be famous, you need like 30 mil to even get people to turn their head.
Yeah. I guess there's more like subgenres of fame now.
Yeah, mild notoriety, I guess you'd
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
Like more clout within your friend group.
There's that, or
Or
like
in your community that you're part of.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it always defaults to like we all work in entertainment on some level. Do you know what I mean? Like we have a TV show on Crave. I was going to say but we did have a season 2 until COVID hit.
Yeah. And this is entertaining, right,
This is
guys?
entertaining. But so
As Erica checks her phone, like,
gotta
when
go,
do I
bros.
get out of here?
Just checking the time.
and I think this is what it comes down to is it's like if what you're doing ultimately leads to like popularity or fame, if you want to call it that, is something that you love, then it ends up becoming sort of like an honest pursuit. And I think where things fall apart is when somebody's like, I'm going to try to be a singer because I want to be famous. And then they're like Rebecca Black, which is an old school reference or whatever. And
She's back, actually.
there you go.
Apparently she's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend who did a co-write with her.
What's the song like? It's October, Halloween. It's the shittiest song ever.
Yeah, but anyway, like I think if like what you're doing is something that you like truly love, whether it succeeds or not, it doesn't matter because like you'll look back and go, yeah, I'm proud of that, or at least like I know my motivations were true, and you can always kind of smell when it's like well, that person's trying to become famous.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some people that just sort of bounce around from one thing to the next. Just like, oh, they're doing singing now. Okay, now they're acting. All right, they're trying this comedy thing. You know, it's like when they really bounce around because like the only end game is like being famous. But yeah. But speaking of the NBA, let's talk about bubbles.
Let's talk about the bubble. So the NBA is going into the playoffs this coming week,
And it's been fun.
It's been.
I'm sure
fun.
every time I haven't actually watched many games, but I see the highlights, and I just think about you, Mike. Being like, oh, Mike definitely watched all of that, and he's probably loving his life. Like you're in a sweet spot right now, right?
It's just it's like I said, it's been a little beacon of light in an otherwise like dreary, and depressing 5 months. It's just so nice to have back, and it seems like the players are really enjoying it. You know what I mean? Like it feels like it feels like it's working, whatever that means, however you quantify that. And it's entertaining as hell, man. It's been really great.
I haven't really watched a ton. There's still a part of me though that kind of is bummed out that the fans aren't there because I think I get off on seeing clips of fans walking into a stadium or seeing reaction of fans, and I know they have the digital ones up there, but like while the hockey was on, it's like the Leafs felt like they were playing in some faraway land. And I was in Toronto. I'm like, oh, the game's actually happening like a kilometer from here.
Yeah.
Like I can see the arena. And so there's still that part that's missing. But have you gotten over that?
Well, no, here's the thing, though. The NHL isn't as intimate. Like, it's like the camera angles are higher. They're wearing the helmets. You're not seeing, like, the sport. Like,
seats are way further back.
Yeah, there was like the game that just happened was like basically the Blazers needed to win to get to this play-in tournament, which is like it's win or go home. And the game came down to the final possession. And it's like those guys, like you could feel it. Like it mattered, man. Like just like any other playoff game, it was.
And Dame Lillard's been incredible.
He was incredible. And it came down to like this Karis LeVert like shot to basically send Dame home. And the Phoenix Suns were all waiting, hoping that it would lose so they could get in the play-in. It's just like, but that resonated more so than, and I watched a bit of the Leafs.
Did Portland get in the
situation.
play-in?
They got in the plan. So this weekend, they got 2 games, them in Memphis, to see who gets to play the Lakers in the first round. And it's been awesome. Like and the thing is like basketball is just so much more intimate and the angles are closer. And when guys are like getting in their face, and we've had drama between Dame Lillard and Paul George, which we don't have to get into, but that
on
was
Instagram, right?
And then, but then they're like, the wife and the sister got into it, and then Paul George had to basically call a truce because he's not really ready for that kind of trash talk. He's just like a guy that likes to fish and chill, and he got himself into something he didn't want to be into. But look it up online if you're listening and you're not a super NBA fan. But what I'm saying is, it's like, to your point, Max, it's like, I don't think some of the other sports lend themselves as much to like the intensity and the drama as basketball does. But do you miss 19,500 people like swaying like a free throw or like losing their minds? That's irreplaceable. But I'm going to say when it comes down to the last 2 minutes of a game, I still feel the same butterflies.
Apparently that free throw shit doesn't work anyway. Guys have a better record when it's dead silent.
Really?
At shooting free throws.
A worse record or
a better? Oh, sorry. Yeah, they shoot poorly when it's dead silent. So if fans really wanted to be effective for an opposing team, go totally silent, and you get in your own head and it fucks you up.
I once heard a good idea. I don't know where I read this or heard it, but they said that if fans really want to mess with guys shooting free throws, that like when the guy's about to shoot the free throw, all the fans should stand up, and then just as he's about to throw, they should all take one step to the left. And what it does is it messes with your perception of where the rim is.
I like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But like to organize that. But
I feel
it's
like colleges could do that though.
Yeah, totally.
In college sports, they have
everybody
lots of
knows
traditions.
each other.
Yeah.
But guys shoot better on the road free throws than they do at home.
It's gonna be interesting to see how like when it's like a finals game or like a conference finals game and Giannis is at the free throw line and it's dead silent. Or this happened. This is why the beef happened. Pat Beverly was talking shit to Dame Lillard as he was shooting free throws at the end of like an important
he wanted
game.
him to get out there, right?
All that.
Yeah.
But the reason we bring up the bubble is because they've just released the rules because after the first round of the playoffs, all of these guys that have been sort of isolated and, in the bubble who haven't been with their wives or their girlfriends or their partners or whatever it is, their families, they are now allowed to bring people into the bubble. But there are rules to the people they can bring into the bubble.
Are these just like conjugal visits?
Well, this is what's kind of controversial is that the NBA has put in language that essentially says you have to have like either a long-standing relationship. You basically saying you can't bring in an Instagram model. Like if you just met somebody on social media, they aren't allowed into the bubble,
Wow.
which seems to be a little bit discriminatory.
But how long are the visits to the bubble?
Well, you have to quarantine, I think, for 4 days. I think you test leading up to the bubble, and then you do 4 or 7 days.
Yeah, I think it's like a total of 7. It's like 3 days in the home market, and then when you get to the bubble, 4 days, and you have to test negative like 7 days in a row.
Imagine they only gave you 20 minutes. This guy with a stopwatch in the closet. Adam Silver's just standing there with the stopwatch.
Masks on, go. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that would probably lead to some interesting conversations, though. It could be like, no, I've hung out with this person before.
Absolutely.
They were like, prove it. And you're like,
Well, you got to show them your like DM history.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, yeah.
Who would you guys like? I mean, obviously we all have partners and stuff that we would bring. into
Okay,
the bubble.
well, yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Okay, who would we bubble? You can bring 4 people in.
I think you can bring 4. Yeah.
Okay, and here are the rules. We can't. Is this being picked up? Is it allowed?
It's real loud. It's real.
Some construction going on, but I mean, are our voices cutting through? That's the important part.
Yeah, definitely. But there's a lot of background stuff.
So
But
for
I'll try
our-
my best.
Our
in
listeners, there's some
editing.
construction going on here in Hamilton and Max's neighborhood.
Yeah, making
just-
it look pretty, man.
Bear with us because we're all together for the first time in 5 months. It's really
all-
nice, by the way.
Yeah,
guys.
it's all about the vibe.
It's all about vibing. So go on. What's the question?
Okay, so I want to ask you guys if you could bring any 4 people into your bubble, who would it be? But the rules are, I'm making them up right now, it can't be your immediate family. It can't be your wife, kids. That's too obvious. I want to get more into like Hunger Games sort of
Well,
style.
it can't be anyone in this room either. Right?
Yeah, it can't be anybody on the pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Because you feel like feelings would be hurt? Like,
My feelings, yes.
Because I've thought about this. So, and I do you want me to start because
Of course.
because I just put you on the spot here. So, manager Ash would be in. She'd be my first pick. That's number 1.
That feels a little like family, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean she's kind of feels like family,
Okay.
but she's not like a partner. Yeah, I guess she's like a partner. in
Okay,
crime.
Ash, we'll let it
Well,
go.
Okay, Ash.
by the way, we are missing Ash right now.
We are missing Ash.
She's been on every pod. Did you ask her to come by for this?
Yeah, but getting her to Hamilton, she'd have to rent a car. or
she's set up
something.
at her sweet apartment in Toronto.
Yeah.
She's good.
But
Anyways,
shouts
we're
to Ash.
thinking about you. I wish she was here with us because she's usually at all of them.
She's fantastic. Dan Hamilton, the Nut,
Wow.
and
COVID's really
and
solidified.
Greg Veerman.
The Nut made it, which by the way, can I just say, like, that does make me feel good because I feel like you guys have become a lot closer over this 5 months of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, we have a funny relationship because we have a real friendship where we'll talk about like personal stuff, but then we also have just such a fun time scheming. And this is something we've been doing forever, which is having kind of like chats and brainstorms about each other's jobs, leading back to before he got his job at MLSE. Like I helped him with his resume, and like and whenever he's working on stuff, we like to bounce ideas off each other. And I just think the idea, like, how would I want to maximize my time in the bubble?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ash would obviously be a big part of that, but the Nut would be amazing because here's the thing: I can't go up to, I don't know, Dame Lillard or LeBron or any of these guys myself because they're like, and pump myself up. But the Nut would be like, hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, LeBron, that my friend Max is a really big deal. You want to know him. You want to know this guy, huge, big musician. You guys, this pretty big deal. He'd pump my tires in a way that would be very helpful, I think, around those NBA dudes. So he'd be great. Dan, obviously, best pal, and Greg is there because Greg's a great chill guy. Great. He can kind of take him anywhere. He'd also entertain Dan when Ash and the Nut and I were going to do stuff because Dan sometimes gets annoyed.
Yeah, it's like giving a dog a bone.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dan sometimes gets annoyed if the Nut, Ash, and I are like talking biz too much. And so I'll stick him with Greg. And then we'd have, and also Greg is a great videographer. He can do a lot of video editing. So, because I'm sure we'd be making content down there.
Totally.
So it's kind of a dream team.
Man, you've thought a lot about this.
Yeah,
I
that's a
did.
good roster.
Yeah.
That's a good crew.
Okay, go Shane.
Okay, I'm going Matt McPeak. I'm
Oh,
going
good one.
Mark Myers.
Ooh, this is a good basketball team.
Yeah, I know. And then I'm going John Popoulos.
You just brought a basketball
You
team.
spread a basketball team. You got one more.
Yeah, four beside yourself.
Okay, who else is good? Who would I like to bring at ball? Geez. Who else? AJ could be fun.
Oh, he's fun. He's
I'd
fun
want
time.
I'd want to be playing ball down there, and I'd want guys who are always kind of cool to play. And I'd love to get a video of me and my team playing against some NBA guys, some pickup,
Who would be the four you'd face off against?
like bench players. Who
No, really? You wouldn't just go like, I want to play against.
He'd have 5. It's him plus 4, so they'd get to play 5 on 5.
Yeah, okay, no, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But like, who'd you play against? Which NBA guys? If you have to play?
Well, I
against?
guess the Raptors would be very ideal, just because I know the team so well.
Yeah, you could match up well against.
Yeah.
them.
Do you think sometimes, like, when I think about the way that, like, we've all been lucky enough to sit like courtside in an NBA game, and these athletes are like, they're superhumans. They're massive. Like, even if like it's a 6-foot player, they're just shoulders just bigger than a normal 6-foot person. Like, you're what, 6'1"?
Yeah, just about.
But like when you stand next to Kyle Lowry, he's just bigger than you.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, even though he might be an inch shorter. Do you ever think about if you, Matt McPeak, Mark Myers, AJ, and John Popoulos were on the court against literally like LeBron James, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, like say like NBA players, how you guys would look?
No, I think about what it would look like to play with those guys and like throwing the passes and how you could look. And this is, of course, if you could get past the mental nerves of it all. Because that, like, these guys are all physically gifted, obviously, but they have extreme mental prowess too.
Yeah.
And that in basketball, like confidence and being able to handle a crowd and cameras, that is almost more important than your physical skills.
Yep.
Like if you're comfortable, you're fucking way better than if you're if you got
The thing
nerves.
I'll add though is that we always forget this, and I am reminded every time I play against a guy who's like maybe played college basketball or something. They're so much more physical than you realize. Like when we play pickup, no one really touches each
We're
other
not
too
banging
much.
bodies,
Even
no.
if we're like, oh, Shane's going crazy on defense, no one's really. But like, there's elbows being thrown, people are being pushed around. Like, the odd time I've played against somebody who has like real skill and played at a high level, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just getting tossed around. And
Well,
it's
the key
very
is you just
subtle.
got to become a shooter and a passer.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple dribbles.
Yeah.
To your point, though, about sort of the mental fortitude, they talk about certain like guys, even in the NBA, that maybe are like deep bench guys that are like amazing scrimmage players. They go,
Yeah.
that guy kills it in practice, but it's like when it comes down to like doing it when it matters, it's just not there. They're gonna panic or make a weird decision when it matters and all that stuff. So you think about like I've thought about like it'd be interesting to watch you play point guard with like 4 NBA players on your.
If I was like 3 drinks deep and was feeling kind of cool, like it's like parallel parking. I could never do it if
only
10
drunk?
people.
Only 3
I
drinks.
drive better drunk than I do sober. I'm saying that now. But I could never do it if like a group of 10 people were watching me. Like every move would just be way different than if I was alone. Like I
Yeah.
can do it alone. I can't do it with people looking at me.
But do you think you would look? How would you look physically? Standing next-
Terrible. Like I would want a month to prepare.
Right.
Yeah, you'd have to drop 10 pounds, not even drop 10 pounds, just replace the 10 pounds of fat with 10 pounds of lean muscle.
Right.
To even kind of look like an out of shape guy.
Yeah, it's tough for white guys. So even like white guys that are super in shape, they just look like shit.
If you're pasty white, I'm not that pasty.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, like Steve Nash, when he used to play, looked very small, right? Like, so he's 6'3", and like I know people that are 6'3", but on the court he looked small, and so I thought in person he would just look like my friends who are 6'3". But then I saw him in person like years ago at Much. I got to do like an artist ID with him where he's like, "Hey, I'm Steve Nash. You're watching Much Music," and again, like he just looked a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? Like shoulders just a little bit broader.
athletes, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just yeah, exactly. There's just something a little bit different.
But
So I
once
wonder.
you make the NBA, that's all you're doing. Like,
Yeah, right.
I was reading a thing about like how college players, when they really get their minds blown when they do an NBA scrimmage for the first time, because the difference between college and NBA is so different because college guys have to focus on other things, and NBA, it's just all they do is play at the highest level, practice, work out with the best people, and it's just like they're a completely different person after 2 years in the NBA.
Wild.
Who'd you bubble with, Mike?
Man, my brother, Greg Vierman, gets in 100%.
Yeah.
He's a great hang. The thing is, I have so
That's
like
family though. That was part of the rules.
Oh no, immediate family. I guess
His
it's
brother.
Yeah. No, I was thinking more of like your nuclear family.
Yeah, like
I didn't want to have like I gotta bring Danica, bring Alex,
Oh,
and all
okay.
that stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Or like Winnie's coming. Like fuck that.
no. Alex and Lou, they seem great. I would bring them. Can we bring each other's families?
Yeah.
That way we
No.
swap. Yeah. No, my brother 100%. But also, it's like that weird thing where my brother and I are like friends and brothers. It's like, that's kind of like.
I will allow Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah.
God, the thing is, we have so many great, like, I love hanging with everybody. Like
But here's the thing. I gave you strategy for why the nut is coming. It is
Right.
strategic.
Yeah, that's why I selected my team the way I did.
Yeah, I love the nut. So think about who of your friends would make the most. Like, what do you want to get out of the bubble? Hanging out with NBA guys. What relationships do you want to make down there? Who can help facilitate that? Who would also appreciate the experience more than anybody?
Well, but see, this brings me back to like I would probably like you two would probably be in my bubble. Like you guys are those people that I would be fun situation where it's like you guys like to have a drink, you like to have a good time, but you also know when it's time
I feel like Sean Dawson would be
to
part
do
of your
business. Sean would be great in the bubble.
Yeah,
Sean would
because
be great in
he
the bubble.
loves. The
I feel like
Sixers.
I have the pressure of picking my wedding party again.
Oh yeah, that was tough.
It is very similar to that.
It's too
This
much
type of
stress,
vibe.
man. And a lot of our friends listen to this podcast, so it's like it's a lot of stress.
Okay, I'm gonna pick your bubble. Greg,
Okay, I like it.
Sean.
I'll take it.
That's good. You know what? You've been very good friend to Jug. Jug would love the bubble. He needs to get the fuck away from his family for a couple weeks. I just say that as anybody who's got small kids, nothing against his family. I saw Ellie today. She's having a nap.
Did you go by there for a swim?
I bored the blow up mattress.
Oh, very
So
nice.
he's got two more.
No, one more.
Okay.
Because Sean, Jug, Greg.
You need an alpha male in the mix now.
Yeah, like this.
That is true.
But like the nut is such a great person.
The nut-
Yeah, you have to put the nut
if
in
the goal
there.
is to facilitate relationships.
Yeah.
or
honestly,
get
I think
whatever
the
you
nut
want.
makes every single one of our bubbles.
Yeah,
I bring the nut even.
yeah.
no doubt. The nut is in my bubble. I'll
But-
take the nut.
Is he the same now? Like he's super ripped right now. Is he the same fun level? I feel like he wouldn't touch a drink.
A croissant.
No.
Let's just do a vodka.
croissant.
He would. I can say
He's
that.
fun still.
Yeah, he is. He is fun. I think. Yeah.
He's been very cordial via text with me, and it's not that it's not fun. It's very friendly and nice. It's just not as fun as he used to
I think that
chirp me.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's like he's kind of like Max and Dan and the nut you guys have been hanging out. You guys have like this Toronto pod, which I miss a lot because I was in that pod.
It's a good pod.
Before I left the city.
Great pod.
I left the city. I'm no longer in that pod. I miss Toronto. I miss our hangs. Random Tuesdays and Thursdays, just whatever. I miss those. But so what I get from the nut is I'll get these texts where he's just like, really miss hanging, man. Like these really nice, sweet, like thinking about you, man. Bubble, things like that. And so it would be great to like go into the bubble with the nut. But maybe he is soft. I think the pandemic has made him soft.
Have you seen him with the shirt
Well,
on?
I mean, body hard, emotionally soft.
Oh, okay.
But it's probably made us all soft in more ways than one.
No, the nuts, doing his scheming thing more than ever. And I say
yeah?
scheming in a very positive way because I'm a schemer myself.
Do you think maybe soft is the wrong word, but perhaps I'm not saying anything about nut prior to pandemic, but nicer?
Hey! Whoa!
No, love the nut.
But
Great guy.
nicer's less fun, maybe.
That's what I'm saying because you say he's being cordial and perhaps
Yeah.
nicer. You say he's soft, perhaps nicer.
In a good way.
Yeah, Erica.
that's great.
He's
She's
just not,
always been soft
He's
with
just
me.
not
We've
having
always
any episodes, where he has to send a lot of apologies. That's all.
Yeah.
Erica, what do you got?
My bubble?
Yeah.
My bubble in the
Sorry,
bubble?
one thing before we go to Erica.
Yes.
Peak in my bubble. I love peaking. You took peak. I would have
Yeah.
taken peak before you take it. I would have taken it, but I didn't want to double up.
Okay, I feel like my MO though in the bubble would be slightly different than your guys. Like
Yeah,
I don't want
this
to
is-
like ball
No, you shouldn't
with
have
the
to want a ball.
dudes.
No, but you want to maybe sightsee and see like your friends who you have fun with.
Yeah, like go fishing. I see they're fishing in the bubble.
Like, don't you have any friends who are into the NBA?
Not good friends that I would want to hang out with in the bubble. I don't
Like
think.
Ash loves Kyle Lowry, and it'd be
Right.
awesome for them to meet. And, do you
Right.
have any friends who are like, oh, they die to meet someone?
Oh yeah, and I can't bring my mom. Fuck, my mom loves Surge. Like obsessed.
You know what? I'm gonna allow it.
Okay, I'll bring my mom. I would also bring my good friend Maddie D. She has been working all summer doing this like
Could use a break.
placement, could use a break, could really let loose. She's a great partier, but I haven't got to party with her at all summer. So that would be super fun. And maybe I'd bring Greg too, because
Wow.
yeah,
He
again,
deserves it. Great boss.
he deserves it. He already has bubble experience, so he could show us all the ropes down
oh my
there.
god, true. I forgot about that.
True.
And yeah, he could also film some fire content.
Yeah.
Maybe I could get a TikTok page started down there. Greg could direct it.
And the nut.
And the nut. Yeah. The nut and I could really use some quality time. So
Dan Hamilton's not invited, eh?
in my bubble.
Yeah.
Dan could have easily made my bubble.
Yeah.
He used to be my neighbor. I miss Dan. He used to live a couple floors below me, man.
Yeah.
I could have had Dan in my bubble. He's good on defense. I find a rebound, and he knows his role on the court.
Yeah, I'll bring Dan to a rebound too.
Erica.
That was a good joke.
That was very good.
Yeah.
Quick. I liked it.
All right, guys, moving on to the next topic: plastic surgery. We've a very popular topic. There was an article that came out saying that due to the sort of explosion of Zoom and virtual meetings, people aren't hanging out in person anymore like we're doing right now. They are doing everything on computers. And because of that, there's a rush to get some plastic surgery because they can look good on the old...
That seems like that logic
Zoom.
just seems crazy to me.
It's so dumb because when you're on a Zoom call, you can control your angles and keep your face straight, and you control what the person sees.
It's the most controllable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not like you have to show off your body as much. There's a lot of people who, if you like, who can with the right angles look really good, and then you meet them in person, you're like, okay, they're like not quite as hot as you thought.
I think this is a fake one of those Russian bot articles that's
No.
just trying to get clicks.
I think it's because people have never spent so much time looking at themselves. Like if you were in the office in real life meetings, 8 hours a day, you don't see your reflection for 8 hours a day, but now you're staring at yourself in these Zoom calls. And it's like, ooh, my nose, ooh, my this, ooh, my that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
good point. Good point.
So wait, here's a question. When you guys are on these Zooms, how often do you look at the person talking and how often do you look at yourself?
I try to always look at the person talking because you see when you see someone else just looking at themselves. Like I was watching Tyler, who's like the hottest guy alive, from Tyler Cameron from The Bachelor. He was doing a Zoom call on Entertainment Tonight, and he looked at himself the entire time.
He's so hot though.
I
would
know,
do that
like,
too.
but I would make a conscious effort if I was Tyler to look at the camera and not yourself.
Okay, so but if you're looking at the
Or the
camera, you're
person.
not looking at the person.
The
talking.
person, I mean, yeah.
How could you tell he wasn't looking at them?
Because you could see where his eyes were looking, and the other person was looking because he was with the new Bachelor. There's a new black
is his
Bachelor,
buddy, Matt?
who's his best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other guy was doing it like where you could tell he wasn't looking at himself.
You know,
Check it out; it's crazy.
Do you still think Tyler's as hot today as he was when he was on the show?
In this Zoom call, he looked even the hottest he's ever looked.
Really?
His eyes were popping. The light was right on him.
Seems like he wasn't the only one looking at Tyler
Yeah,
the whole time.
I can't take my eyes off him, but I'm not him.
He his friend Matt though. I like that guy.
You likey.
Mm-hmm. He's
Yeah,
a new
he's
Bachelor,
good,
right?
but I would hate being best friends with Tyler.
But he's super hot too.
I mean, they're
He
a pretty
is,
hot pair, and they offer
Yeah.
different things. so-
Yeah, they probably love being best friends with each other because they get invited to all the parties.
Oh, yeah,
they get
they're
to go everywhere together.
really good.
Yeah.
Maxie, when you're on a Zoom call, do you look at yourself or the people talking?
I've been lucky that I haven't had to go on too many Zoom calls. But I will say this: I was on a Zoom call the other day, and it was with a guy from the label in Britain, and I found him to be so fucking charming, and he was like had floppy hair, and he just had some cool posters in the background. He's probably like late 30s or something, and I was sort of transfixed by this guy. And I was thinking, I was like, if this guy didn't have a British accent, would I think he's hot? Because right now I think this guy's really fucking hot. But I just started thinking about like the accent game, because if you are, you know, someone from England and you talk like Hugh Grant or something like that, like you're scoring a lot more points than if it's just on email or something like that.
Yeah,
or
it's
a
like
phone call.
a superpower. There's like a movie years ago that basically, if you're like if you're a Brit or like a French person in America, your accent is actually like a superpower.
It's an aphrodisiac.
Do you think it's more disarming when you see a really good-looking man than a really good-looking woman?
Good question. I feel like,
I find it's rarer, so I'm more like, what the hell? Like,
well,
who's
yeah,
that
because
guy?
guys, yeah, it is rare, I think, and it's a lot of like different types of handsome for guys. It sort of depends on whatever floats your boat, I suppose. Like, well, we're all kind of good-looking guys, I think, but it's all kind of different. I don't know.
You were gonna say that.
But yeah, anyway, I was just thinking about how on the Zoom call that guy runs things.
So
I think it's really served him
If there's
well.
not a hot guy on the other line, who are you looking at? Yourself, or are you trying to be respectful?
Oh, probably myself.
What about you, Mikey?
I'm ashamed to say that I find myself watching myself more than. Yeah, but to your point, I'm very cognizant of it. So then I have to stop myself from doing it.
Yeah.
because I'm scared I'm going to get busted and judged. But like, I'm constantly like fucking putting my hands through my hair and shit, and I'm just like, what are you doing right now?
Well, I check in on myself a lot, but where my gaze is mostly, it's on the person. But I'm doing an
Do people actually pay
inordinate.
attention on these Zoom calls? I've done like 2 of them, and after the first like 10 minutes, I just like fucked off, and I was like looking at my phone and stuff like that. Do people actually like pay attention to each other?
Well, we've been doing a Zoom call every week, Max, for pod.
Oh, that. Well, I wasn't thinking about the plot. I was thinking about like Arkell's biz stuff.
All
Depends
right.
who's on, you know. If a big wig's on, if boss is on or something, you gotta like kind of pay attention, go on video.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
it's like you have meetings with the same people every day.
It sucks though, because the bigger the wig, the more boring they are. So you kind of zone out. You're so focused on pretending to be paying attention. Yeah.
Erica, what about you? You watching yourself or you watching the people
Yeah,
talking?
Do you have a good angle that
Probably
you've
about
chosen?
60-40.
60-40. There you go.
Have you thought about your angle?
No, it's usually just straight on.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll put the laptop on a book or two, so it's more like straight on as opposed to like
Yeah.
upward angle. You know what
Depends
I
how good you look too. Like if I'm having a day where I'm just like, why do I look so good right now? Then
You're gonna say.
I thought it was going the other way.
Yeah, why do I look so fucking hot?